Hello, this is RA, and I'm going to take you through the reporting functionality inside of Honeycomb. Honeycomb has reports under the Reports tab, which can be found in just about any app inside of Honeycomb, or I can go to the plus sign for all tabs and find it there. Before I get too far into how to build and create reports, you need to understand that reports come from report types. The report type is what dictates the data that will show up and how it's related inside of the report. Report tabs are defined under Setup in Create Report Types. And I've got one I've pulled up here, and I'm going to explain it a little bit. So in this report type, I've got two objects that I'm going to show data for: campaigns and media placements. As you can see, the leads data is not inside this report type, so I'm not going to be showing any of the lead data in the report. This is just going to show data from campaigns and media placements. And the way that they're joined right now is to show all campaigns and some of the media placements that have campaigns. So if a media placement was not linked to a campaign, it would not show up. And that's evident here in the diagram by the white space that you see. If I needed to show all of both, I would hit Edit and change the way that this works. Report types are important. They often shouldn't be edited frequently when you're building reports. So it's important to know that if data is not showing the way that you think it should be inside of a report, it may be because of how the report type is set up. Normally these are set up at the beginning when you start using Honeycomb, and then we don't come back and need to edit them very often. Also inside of that are the fields that show up. So if you're missing a field, you can see that there are 49 fields from campaigns. Media placements has 34. So if we go in and add a custom field to media placements, we would need to, and we want it to show up on this report, we would need to come in and change this layout to get that field to show up. So let's move back into the Reports tab now that I've given you a foundation for report types. In the Reports tab, there are a number of folders. A lot of these come right out of the box with Salesforce, like the opportunity reports. Those are stock reports. They're all organized in folders. You can expand or collapse those folders and organize them here. There are several that come with reports inside of Honeycomb, like the performance reports that are here. There are also dashboard reports and email delivery reports. And the reason why we have created these folders for our reports is we like to keep them tucked away. When we generate a report for the dashboard, we often will put it inside the dashboard reports so that it's not disturbed during our normal process of taking a report, making changes to it, and customizing it on the fly. If you want to do that, what you should do is go to create a new folder, create a good name for your reports, where you're going to store them, what type of report they are, when you run them. Maybe it's related to your business process. So I'd want to create a folder for that. Oftentimes people give it their own name when there's multiple logins, and that will help people keep from editing your reports. If you ran something recently and you're not quite sure what folder it's under, you might want to go to this tab called Recent Reports, which will show things that were recently run of interest. So that's how you can organize your reports under the Reports tab. You can also hit Custom, create a new custom report. And what that would look like, it'll take you to a WYSIWYG editor, which I'll go through in a separate video. Once I run a report, I've got the data here inside of this report. It's been run. At the top, I've got filters that I can use to change the data. I've also got some buttons to interact with. I've got a chart or graph, and I've got the data itself. The chart or graph can be above or below the data that shows up in the report, and I can have one diagram, one chart per report. So if I need to see multiple diagrams, charts, graphs, I probably want to do that in a dashboard where I can have multiple graphs inside the dashboard all showing up on the screen at one time. So if I want to edit this at any time, I can edit it pretty much inside by hitting Edit, or I can come down and change the filters. These are the filters for the data that was run on this report. I can either hit Edit to go directly into those filters, or I can hit Clear, and that will change the data that I see. If there are multiple records, I can select the records I want to see more detail on, and then do a drill down into other fields inside of the data that shows up in the report. If I want to sort on a particular column, I can do that by clicking on that column to sort either by descending or ascending inside the column. Let me spend a little bit of time on these filters. Right now the summary of this data is by date. I can change how that's summarized by changing this field and hitting Run Report. When I make changes to the data, it doesn't automatically run. I can make multiple changes at once, hit Report, hit Run Report, and it will update the data, but it won't refresh until I hit Run Report. This is a time date filter, which is so common for us to run and look at data over a specific time frame. I've got date fields. It knows which are date fields, and so it's going to populate this with the date fields for the objects in the report type. And then I've got these predefined date ranges, and when I choose these, it will update the date so I don't have to keep entering that, which is nice. If I hit Run Report now, it will run the report, or I can just click the button. If I do Schedule Future Runs, it will run those at a future time, and it can email those to me. Hide details. If I'm looking at summary reports and I want to collapse it, I can hit Hide Details or Show Details. This will toggle back and forth. When I hit Customize, it'll take me into the Report Builder interface. Save and Save As. I use save sometimes. I use save as quite a bit. Think of it as if you're working in a spreadsheet and you wanted the data slightly different and you want two versions of it, I would do save as. So if I wanted to see this summarized by date as well as by keywords, I would click Keywords, hit Save As, and now I've got a new version. Date we don't use, delete we don't actually use very often that I'm aware of. There's also a printable view. When I click on this, it will download a version that will pop up in Excel, and I can print it, and it will look a lot like this, but it'll save me some ink in the toner cartridge. And export details. So if I needed to take this data somewhere else and use it, I can hit Export Details, and that's how I can get the data downloaded to a comma separated value or CSV file to be used somewhere else. So that's an overview of how reports work and what the underlying data is inside the report type. Thank you.